We haven't started. Since you walked out, I was waiting for people to settle down, so we're ready to start.
Call meeting order. Please rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Village clerk, please call roll.
Burgess. Here. Jones.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Tate. Washington. Williams Bay.
Here.
Washington Allen. Here. Tate is the building and the
All right, move to public comment. All questions or comments to direct to the will be given 3 minutes to comment. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. First, please come to the mic. If you would just double check, make sure that green light's on. And then, go ahead.
That's me, sorry. There you go.
Frank Williams, 1633 216 Place. Last week I was accused of going downtown, saying that I went down there, do something to the people in the village. I didn't go down there for that. What I went down there for because I am a member of the Friday evening seniors activity. That's what I was down there for. When we went down there, we was accused of being discrimination. The one that accused us is not here tonight. So when she asked her, was she ever denied any access to the building, or was she ever discriminated against by us? She said no. And then when he asked her, says, well, would you like for Frank to be the one that come in on Friday, on Wednesday with you guys? She says no. So she called somebody else, and he said, well, I can't do it during the summer, so Frank would have to do it. He said, well, she said, well, okay to that. I wish you was here, because we didn't go down there for that. What it is that Rose Langston did not put that in place. That was put in before Rose Langston did it. Was put in by another person that was sitting over here as the village manager at the time. And so that's who put that in place. The second thing is that I looked at, I guess it was on Facebook or something, and Joe Wiswater had put out there about what Rose and Debbie and everybody been doing, going to Washington and things like that. I would like for him to prove to me that my wife and my daughter have took a dime from anybody in this village to do anything, travel to do anything else, anywhere in this village. Stand here and prove to me that she's been doing it for 2 years now. If you have anything, stand up here and prove. We've told them 100 times they can't, she didn't take no money from nobody or did a thing else. The second thing is this. He keeps talking about what they can and cannot do. My daughter is sitting on a seat right now with Joe Wiswater, was a trustee. She lasted 3 terms. He couldn't even last 1 term. Couldn't even last 1 term. So what I want to say is starting right now. I wish he would stop doing it, because it began to make me a little bit upset. And to keep lying about the same thing. But if he have any proof that she did it, then here's the time to stand right here and prove it to me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Judy Cast here. Before I ask my questions, I would like to ask Mr. Mayor, you knew about this meeting well in advance. You put stuff on the agenda and know what's coming up. Therefore, again, I'm asking, with the questions that I have, the financial person should be here. And I want to know why, again, when you have pertinent stuff that needs to be answered, why Mr. Mohan is not here, why department heads are not here. I think it's very selfish and underhanded that we can't ask pertinent questions and get an answer right now. You're going to vote tonight. I want my questions answered tonight. And those questions are, what is the dollar amount of the tax levy that you intend to put on us tonight? How much was it last year? And what is the percentage increase? And those are my 3 questions.
All right. Okay, we'll see if we get these answered for you before we vote on it. I think I got most of them inside the ordinance, but we can do that. But do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Give me the answers before we vote. Give me those answers before we vote. Yes.
Before I begin, I want to get some clarification on the rules to speak. Okay, can you hear me now? I just want to get some clarifications on the rules to speak. I want to speak on behalf of someone, but I also have my own comment. I want to know, does that, I have a correspondence, does that correspondence get the same allotted 3 minutes, or is that,
Yes.
it doesn't get the same allotted 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Okay. But if I have a comment myself, is that
That would be included in your 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay. Then can I ask the clerk just to tell me when it's a minute and a half? Is
I
that
sure will.
All right. I'm reading a letter on behalf of Barb Dorman, Editor-in-Chief of the Southland Voice, and it reads as thus. Mayor David Hanks, on November 18th, I had the wonderful opportunity to participate in the celebration in honor of the veterans in Sauk Village. As it is a cause that is near and dear to my heart, I gladly take time to show support at any time that I am available, and the Veterans Day ceremony in Sauk Village is no exception. I took a brief opportunity near the close of the ceremony to inform a couple of veterans, of an upcoming Thanksgiving dinner that was being provided by Sauk Village. I was taken aback and offended when I was quickly called out for solicitation of the paper. What took me back further was the verbal expletives that were used in an expression of uncalled for anger. Had there still been a great concern of sanctity of the ceremony, I would have understood, but I will not stand for abhorrent behavior, for the language, nor for public humiliation. It has been an honor to be part of this community by bringing forth the information of the town and board to its residents. I will continue to bring forth the news as it happens in this town by all of its representatives. I am bringing forth this to you to make you aware that some members of the board are engaged in an unflattering and unbecoming behavior that is, as a friend of this community, beyond offensive, especially to someone that holds the best interest of its veterans and Sauk Village near and dear to my heart. I will share a copy to this letter if you guys want to. That was an abridged version. My next concern is some of the members of the audience and possibly on the board may have known that on December 2nd, in Oakland, California, 36 people perished in a residential warehouse fire. And I'm going to read a quote from one of the DJs who was present at the evening who survived the fire because he went out to have a cigarette smoke. It was on the Today Show, and he said this in tears. "It was hell. We just had to watch the exit for hours and just wait. They never came out." And I know some of you may be wondering why I'm mentioning this, but my heart was heavy, and I'm sure everyone in the nation was when we heard this news. And it we should, as we mourn and grieve for the lost, we should really humble ourselves in that we're in a prime position to prepare for any future disaster or any loss of life from any fires. According to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, winter is the time where residential fires increase. And luckily, thanks to Trustee Myers, in 2015 and so far this year, we have had no loss of life. And to show the gravity of this, 36 people, there are about 30 of us here now. And that means that 30 of us here now, that means 6 more of us would have to perish. So I hope that hits home, and I hope that you will join me in sharing information that is available from the U.S. Fire Administration Department under the FEMA. That website is usfa.fema.gov. And I really hope that we can join together and we can have a wonderful and blessed holiday. And we can join together to prevent any loss of life, and we can have a very safe holiday with our family and our community. Thank you very much.
James Harvey, Sauk Village. I just basically want to reiterate the question that was asked tonight. Once again, you know about the meeting, and it's usually they are here. All the department heads were here. All of a sudden, you decide to cut that out. Now, I want to know exactly why, and I'm tired of hearing the excuse where you decide to let the trustees talk to them. I believe you ought to have a better reason than that. You know, like she said, there's some questions that need to be asked and answered to. You know, they deserve an answer. You know, they're taxpayers, they have a right to know. They lived in this village, been living here for years and years and years. They ought to have a right to know. So there ought to be a better answer than you decide to let the trustees talk to them.
Mary Klopp. I was here on Veterans Day, and in response to what was said about Barb Dorman interrupting the service, my dad is a veteran. He was here. He was one of the ones that she went up and spoke to, and she scared half to death because he was focused on the ceremony, not wanting to be interrupted by someone he had no idea who it was, why she was showing him this information or anything else. She could have easily handed out the papers out in the hall as veterans entered into the rotunda. There was no need, in my opinion, for her to interrupt veterans for willing to sacrifice their life, and she takes it upon herself or whoever to interrupt, to promote an event. My father was very offended that she did that.
Pat Couch. I just have a question for the mayor. All the people that are running for office in the election have filed their papers, I understand. I'd like to know, what does it cost to file when they want to challenge is the word I'm looking for. When they want to challenge these petitions, what does it cost to do that? These folks have done their due diligence. They have their names. They have the people on their signatures. Let's let the election run for itself. Let these folks do their job. They are running for an office. Let the votes fall where they may. And let's run a clean election and let the people who are voted for win or lose. But the challenges, if you put up a challenge, who pays for that and how much does it cost? Just for food of thought.
The challenges can range depending on how many. Challenges can range depending on how many challenges there are. I think was the last election, 2 elections ago, when there was a bunch of challenges, it cost the village approximately $20-some thousand. So again, that's the taxpayers. Again, when you have to have the hearings, there has to be attorneys, there has to be court recorders. That's all expense to the taxpayers. So again, it depends how many challenges and stuff there are. And don't quote me on that. I just remember the 20-some thousand. So we can look into it or go back and find out, but it does get kind of expensive, especially if you have multiple hearings. That means multiple times the attorneys have to come out, multiple times the court recorders have to come out. I know there's lots of talk about the department heads. You know, the important department heads are here. The safety. I know that Chief Stoffregen couldn't be here tonight, but I've got Assistant Chief who's going to give the report tonight from Trustee Myers. When it comes to questions that the trustees should have, the trustees all have the opportunity to meet with department heads, to find out their answers. They should come prepared for the meetings. And I've heard before from the residents, trustees shouldn't be voting on something if they don't know what they're voting on. What's important is that they know what they're voting on, and they should be voting. I just want to go off real quick here on last minute minutes, on the meeting minutes. The tax levy for tonight is, let's see, the total amount to be collected for tax levy for the current fiscal year is $2,327,870.36. The formula is 0.7% of an increase. That is less than it was last year. I think last year was 0.8%. So the tax levy this year is less than what it was last year. So let's see here, $2,327,870.36. All right. Seeing no one else up there, we'll go to reports to department heads, committees, commissions. We have Fire Department 911 Commission. I know Trustee Myers, you have a report tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The chief asked me to read his report tonight. Over the past 4 weeks, the fire department responded to 32 calls. They include 6 vehicle accidents, 4 lift assist, 2 gas leaks, 1 auto aid, 8 automatic fire alarms, 5 seal alarms, 1 stove fire, 1 smoke alarm, 1 smell of gas, natural gas, 1 assist the other agency, a smoke investigation, and a change of quarters to University Park, and down power lines and tree. Chief also would like me to read the statement to the residents. With the cold weather upon us, make sure to check on the elder and your neighbor. When the weather is very cold outside, let the cold water drip from the faucet. That will save the pipes from freezing. Running water through a pipe will add even a small trickle will stop it from pipes from freezing up solid. Recommend you set your thermostat the same temperature during the day and night. And I'd like to wish each and every one of you a very wonderful Merry Christmas. And he asked me also, once again, to ask the residents in town, and if you know someone, please encourage them not to heat the house with a kitchen stove. We've been responding to quite a few of these, and the CO that will produce high levels of CO, and when you fall asleep, you do not know that you're going to be affected with it, and it can be very deadly to you. So once again, remember, before you try to heat your house with a stove, it's better to get an electric heater and heat it up than try to use the gas stove. It produces carbon monoxide. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to Police Department, Chief Kowalski.
Mr. Mayor, trustees, from the last meeting, the department had 79 arrests and a total of 1,314 calls of total service. Cases of note, on November 10th, officers were called to the 1900 block of 221st Street. The victim said individuals damaged his rental vehicle, which was parked in a driveway. Victim thought it was his brother who damaged the vehicle since he had recently had an argument with him. Victim provided a description of the offender vehicle, which was located with the offender as well as others in the vehicle. All subjects were taken into custody. Detectives were able to secure charges on the 3 offenders involved in the case for criminal damage to the vehicle. On November 16th, officers took a report from an individual who reported her credit card had been stolen. Tis the season for stolen credit cards. When the officers contacted the credit card company, it was determined that the card was actually used in a neighboring town. Investigating this further, detectives found the victim was trying to defraud the credit card company and had knowledge of the person using the card. Charges of fraud were secured against the victim. And on December 5th, a victim of a domestic violence act contacted police to report her ex-boyfriend was stalking her. Upon arrival, the police The ex-boyfriend offender fled from the scene. The offender was driving at a high rate of speed from the area, losing control and getting into an accident. Victim identified the offender who was injured in the accident, taken into custody. That victim, the offender was transported to the hospital for injuries sustained in the accident. Charges for stalking were approved, as well as intimidation charges, since the offender persistently called the victim while he was at the hospital, trying to get the victim to drop the charges. The vest grant officers were recently measured for their vests, which should arrive in 4 to 6 weeks. Once we receive the vests, the receipts will be submitted for reimbursement to the Office of Justice Programs, Department of Justice. On a happier note, the police department was invited to participate in a Christmas parade. It was a great event. The officers enjoyed it. And I want to thank Trustee Jones and the Parks and Recreation Committee for the invitation to participate. Today, the Sauk Village Policemen's Association, a special thank goes out to the association who gave the police department $1,000 for the Shop with the Cop program. The department is very grateful for this and all donations, because the money will help plenty of deserving families to have a very Merry Christmas. And lastly, we also received a grant from Enbridge. The police department received $2,000 community investment grant for Shop with a Cop. So there'll be plenty of happy children. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Chief. Move to reports of officers. Got the mayor's report. Just want to run through some of this real quick. First of all, the last 2 weekends we've had a lot of snow on the weekends. I'd say thank you to the Public Works employees for all the work they've done to make sure the roads are clear. If you listen to the weather, it's talking about potential another snow outbreak hitting us again this weekend, so I tell everyone to be careful on the roads. Also, be careful about the cold front that's coming in. If you haven't felt it already, I guess you'll feel it again a little bit more tomorrow in the next few days. Make sure you check on your neighbors. If you have any seniors, if you have any elderly that you know, take this opportunity to stop in and check on them to make sure that everything's okay. Second, I'd like to let the board know, received a letter from Kurtz. See if I can go down through here. We want to cooperatively thank you for your loyalty and gain again, and we'll be donating $100 to the Illinois Fire Safety Alliance, the organization that organizes and operates Camp IME, more commonly known as Burn Camp. They are putting this in on behalf of the village, the Sauk Village. So they're doing this for all their communities that they work for. So Sauk Village is one of the ones that they're doing. So just let the board know on that. Thirdly, tonight you'll see on there that there is an ordinance for an expense reimbursement policy. Last Tuesday night at the end of the meeting, I informed the board that Springfield passed a mandate on municipalities that as of January 1st we have to have a policy. I gave you a sample policy. What I did was I sent our current policy to the village attorneys and took what IML sent, and what you see before you tonight is what the attorneys sent back with a recommendation to pass tonight, so at least we're in compliance on January 1st. If the board does not choose to pass it, needless to say, we won't have an expense policy in January 1st. It's up to the board if you want to look at it into the new year. But again, remember, an ordinance can always be amended, so it gives us at least the opportunity to at least get the ordinance that is acceptable from Springfield, so that we can continue having an expense policy, in case any of our employees need to have anything expensed. Let's see here. Next, I'd like to say thank you to the Beautification Committee for all the beautiful work. You saw the decorations up here, the Christmas tree in the lobby, and we had a little small Christmas tree over here, lights and things hanging up, so making it very festive. Thank you very much for all the hard work and all the ones that volunteered to come out and put the decorations up. And then lastly, I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and hope everyone has a good time with their family and friends, and just remember the reason for the season. With that said, we move to Village Clerk, Stevie Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say I know the weather is brutally cold, but we are not canceling Carol's Club one more. We're going to continue to have Carol's Club one more. Starts at 6:30. Trustee Williams will report more.
Is it on now? I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll reiterate. I know the weather is brutally cold, but we will still be hosting Carol's Cocoa and More on Thursday night. It starts at 6:30. Trustee Williams-Begg will report more on that event. I will say, however, that we plan on opening the doors as early as 5:30. We won't be starting until 6:30, but we will open the doors sooner. So that's the first thing. And second of all, I just wanted to say there was a lot of discussion last week that I wasn't a part of the back and forth, and I'm kind of glad I wasn't. I'm going to really touch very lightly on some of the things that were said, because I personally don't believe that personal and political attacks should take place at a board meeting, but I will touch on a couple of things. First of all, when it comes down to the litigation with Ms. Houston, and it is litigation, as a public official, we're not even supposed to really speak about litigation until it's at a conclusion. There is a settlement agreement in process, but it is not concluded. So just to lightly touch on some of the things that was said about that, the fact that I was called downtown to represent the village was not my choice. I am often called as the village clerk to represent the village in litigation. As a matter of fact, I asked not to be the one to go for a number of reasons, but most importantly because I had a fundraiser that night. So the fact that I had to go down there, I was told, was because I'm familiar with the policy and procedures of Sauk Village. So that's why I did go. And while I was down there, because I knew the policy and procedures of Sauk Village, I was able to secure the settlement agreement between Ms. Houston and Mr. Williams was there on behalf of the Senior Friday Activity Group. And that agreement is now currently being drafted by the village attorneys. So just know that it was stated that I'm trying to keep people from the senior center. That is that is absolutely false. I have always supported the fact that that organization and any organization have full use of the senior center. So I just wanted to clarify that. Second of all, we talked about agendas last week. I also agree that agendas should not come out at the last minute. I also agree that all the supporting document should be ready for all trustees by Friday. I have been fighting for that the entire time I've been clerk. I start my agendas on Wednesday morning. It takes a lot to put an agenda together. It's not just the clerk putting an agenda together. It's the village attorney, the village engineer, the village manager, the department heads, the mayor, the trustees, and anybody who has input on something that needs to be discussed on that Tuesday. So know this, okay, I'm starting in January. I will make an effort to make sure that everybody turns their information in on Friday. I will make an effort to make sure that the agenda is posted on Friday. But however, know this, a lot of things do happen between Friday and Sunday. Look for amended agendas to come out before 7 o'clock on Sunday. I can't control that. If I don't have everything I need to put an agenda together by Friday, amended agendas will be coming out by Sunday. And I will verify with the village attorneys to make sure that everything I'm saying tonight is correct, because I do nothing without consulting the village attorney. Next, we did have 10 people turn in their petitions for elected officials. We have 3 people that have put their petitions in for mayor, 2 for clerk, and 5 for trustees. The filing period just started yesterday and continues through next Monday at 5 o'clock. There will be a lottery for the people that turn in the petitions before 8 o'clock, so that they can go into a lottery for the first position on the ballot. There will also be a lottery for the person that comes in between 4 and 5 o'clock on the following Monday. There will be a lottery that won't take place until sometime between now and December 28th. All people that are involved in the lottery will be notified, and it will be posted when the lottery will take place. There will be no meeting between now and January 2017. The 2017 meeting calendar will be posted sometime between now and the end of the month. And also I just wanted to say that last week we had a meeting that was 2 hours long. 35 minutes of that meeting actually was village business, and an hour and 25 minutes of it was personal and political. And whatever was said that was personal and political will not be included in the minutes, and I'm not going to respond to 90% of what was said in my name. However, I am going to respond about the Veterans Dinner insofar as I personally did not disrupt the meeting. I personally had nothing to do with what Barb Dorman did and whether or not she offended anybody. I did personally ask the volunteers to put the information on the back table so the veterans would have it available to them. I personally saw that they had hid that information from the veterans. People who are concerned about the veterans getting everything they can possibly get at that time of year or any time of year, as far as I'm concerned, hiding the information from them was wrong. And when I told Barb Dorman that that's what they did, that's what made her get up and start passing it out. And I really hope that we don't have entire discussion over this all over again, because we had an hour and 25 minutes worth of discussion last week. And I just wanted to say, I do care about the veterans. And what I do for the veterans, I do from my heart. The dinner that we had for the veterans was phenomenal. And it's something that I will carry on. It's one of the best things I've ever done for Sauk Village. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Move to Village Administrator, Director of Public Safety, J.W. Fairman.
Mr. Mayor, with leave, I'd like to start out with Sherry Jasinski's report. I asked her to prepare for us today. Her report started with vehicles. Stickers total for 2015 was 2,923 stickers were sold, equalizing $85,611.50. Vehicle stickers total for 2016 as of November 16 were $2,484, were sold equaling $72,538. November collections filed equal $71,500, $750 rather. Night court totals for December 1, 2016. 98 tickets were on the court call, 4 were found guilty, 1 not guilty, 93 were found guilty and fines doubled due to failure to appear. And we have started doing a parking patrol at Wagner School due to complaints by residents that live in that area. People have been blocking driveways, parking on the grass, and double parking down Cynthia, Olivia, and Gayleen, making it nearly impossible for residents to get in and out of their driveway. From December 2 through 12, we have written 56 tickets on parking. She has filed an additional 17 liens equaling $16,561. This will complete everything that is owed to the village in the amount of $500 and up. The remainder of the liens will be on an as-needed basis, dependent on payment of water bills. The village hall will be closed on December 23rd, December 26th, and Monday, January 2nd, in observation of Christmas and New Year's. She was Merry Christmas, and she said that concludes her report, but she did write an additional thing I need to report. It's about the Weatherstone estate. She said they have all the underground items installed and are ready to continue on with the installation of modular homes. The fees are at an increase. The old fees expired in 2007. Per the contract with the inspection agency, the fees and the ordinance that was proposed will be the cost that the village will have to reimburse SafeBuilt. The village administrative fee is what the village will make per permit. The expansion will create more water accounts, more money and taxes for the village to operate. That concludes our report. Mr. Mayor, on my report, on the administrative report, I want to say that I'm starting out with 2016 water revenues. As of the end of November 2013, fiscal year to date, water revenues increased by $331,951.49, or 21.83% over the same period a year ago. This represents 7 straight monthly increases. Staff is to be applauded specifically for their efforts, and the specific staff is Public Works and the front office staff. My next item is the UCR. Uniform crime has decreased by 30% for the same period a year ago. Note, it has been suggested by someone on social media that pouring a full glass of beer into an empty glass is one technique of determining annual UCR comparison. Unfortunately, beer pouring for this purpose has not yet become an exact science. But for those who are interested, I have placed the amount of the current 2013, or will be, Mr. Williams, I've asked you to put those documents out. I have placed the current 2012 through 2015 versus 2016 year-to-date UCR comparison report with methodology on the table. No, not as exciting as beer pouring, but far more accurate. Collective bargaining. As of December 6th, staff and I and the attorneys have completed all of the employees' collective bargaining agreements for Sauk Village. Completing these agreements for the betterment of the village and its employees has been a lengthy process. I'd like to thank the unions, its representatives, and staff for their effort. I would also like to thank the mayor and those trustees who voted to approve these agreements. Other business. I urge the board to approve the Weatherstone Estate Agreement. The next phase of new homes will add a sizable amount of new revenue. There will be in permits, fees, water, vehicle stickers, and etc. And it will also add to the villages, in addition to an increase in the villages' equalized assessed valuation of property. Again, I would like to thank the staff for all of their efforts in making this reality. And Trustee Tates, I should have your request for the engineers ready for you soon. I will email it to you as soon as it comes in, and that is for the village boundaries. I know that this is a political season, and I know that the emotions of candidates and their workers often get tense. But I am getting tired of our employees having to hear that they may or may not have their jobs after April based on who wins. You may or may not know that employees' rights are protected under law. So please keep politics out of Village Hall. I'm advising our employees to document all cases of political harassment. I will personally notify any person who undertakes such actions to cease and desist and forward all employee complaints to the political harassment to the appropriate authorities. 2016 has been a very long but productive year in moving Sauk Village forward. I give all the credit to our employees, police department, fire department, the code enforcement people, public works, and obviously the front office staff. If I missed, and also as I don't want to miss anybody. Our employees have expressed to me, to you, their wishes for a safe, healthy, and happy Christmas and New Year's. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Burgess.
Yeah, Mr. Fairman, who owns Weatherstone? Who's the owners now?
You know, we'll find out. I can give you that name. I didn't write it down on this. I will give it to you. It's changed owners.
Pardon me?
It changed owners.
The reason I'm asking, how do you vote on something we don't know who they are?
I'm not in the voting process, sir. I'm just telling you.
That's what I'm asking you.
Well, yeah, I've answered the question the best I could.
But you're asking us to vote on whoever it is we're increasing or going into an agreement with them. I'd just like to know who the name of the owners are that's going to be taking over Weatherstone, and also, do they own any other property in the village?
I've already answered the question.
Sauk Trail LLC.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe. And do they own anything else in the village?
Not to my knowledge.
Trustee Tates.
Administrator Fairman, a couple of months ago, I raised the issue of the cell phone usage in Sauk Village. And I obtained, or I have in my possession, as you're aware, a outdated, it's a couple of months old, bill that we owed for cell phone usage. And it's for the period of July and August of this year. And at that time, we were delinquent $10,597. A partial payment was made, which brought the balance down to $5,300. And why I think it's a great deal of money for cell phone usage by the village, when I looked at the itemized assignment of cell phones, I see that the village has several phones which have not been assigned to anyone, but we're paying for. And I see individuals that have multiple cell phones that we're paying for. And probably most alarming, I see 2 employees who've retired from Sauk Village who still have, or the village is still paying for their cell phones. And I'm just wondering, how is this going to be addressed, or how is it going to be addressed?
As I've stated in the past, you know, I had Public Works Director Kelvin to look into that. A lot of those phones he found that were not being used, he's already canceled them, and I'll give you an updated report. I don't have it with me right now.
And the funds that are assigned to people that are no longer employees here?
We'll find out. I said I'll give you a report of what all the phones are.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Move to trustees and board committees. We're going to skip the first one. Move to Parks and Recs Committee, Trustee Jones.
Uno night the time has changed, well, and the name is coming in January. It will be just family night, because we're going to expand on more activities during that time, and the new time will be starting at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Yes, Mayor, I did not get a report, so therefore I have no report.
I don't have a report either. So I would have passed it to you. So okay.
Okay.
All right. Move to Housing and Intergovernmental Committee, Trustee Tates.
I have no report at this time. I'm still in the process of developing a relationship with 2 entities to come back out and do workshops for us, and I'll provide the details at the next meeting.
All right. Thank you, Trustee. Move to Public Safety and Ordinance Review Committee, Trustee Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a short, most of it's going to be on safety and ordinance. I'm going to attempt to have a ordinance meeting. I will first contact my members, see if we can get together in December and see if we can get a meeting together if they're all in town or hadn't left yet. Otherwise, I will have one first thing January. The second item is safety. There's a couple of things. With the cold weather coming in, I'd like to ask the mayor, are you going to have any type of cooling centers open when the temperature drops way, way low tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think we'll have a warming center.
Yes, sir. I mean, warming center.
Because it'd be too cool.
It's going to be cool enough outside.
Yeah, usually the fire chief calls me, or you, or village clerk. But just so the board knows, when the weather gets below a certain degree, we open up the fire department, just so the residents know also, so that anyone whose heat goes out or anything, they can come in. We usually staff the fire department with our on-call firefighters at the fire department. And we usually do something like 6 to 6 or something.
Yes, sir. No.
So it'll be around the clock because it's already staffed from 6 to 6, and then they'll stay 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it will just go around the clock during the whole budget.
Yep, so just so the board knows. So when you see the increase, usually, it's only during the wintertime. So summertime we do evenings.
So the village administrator can send us email? Okay, no problem. Second thing is, I'm asking help from the residents and friends. If you know a child has done this, we've experienced twice now, with a snow condition it is, young juveniles are playing games with the fire truck, and you have about 13 tons of equipment rolling down the road, lights and siren, and they all of a sudden jump out in front of us. And on dry roads, it's hard enough to bring that rig down to a stop. On icy roads, we almost lost one other night because a young lad jumped out and rode. The only thing you can do naturally is hit the air brakes, and Trustee Jones knows that's a no-no to do. And we came real close to losing it, but they brought it under control. It was down. So if you see the kids playing out in the middle of the road during this icy season on the roads and stuff, please tell them not to do it. I hate to see somebody get hurt over a childish game. And the other thing is that we had we was on the expressway all morning this morning. We had 3 major accidents out there on the expressway. The last one was a 10-car pileup. Watch the bridge over the railroad track. When the temperature drops below 0, that bridge is going to be very icy. And that's where we had most of our cars. And there's end up with, I believe there's 6, yeah, we have 4 animals. We transported 6 people to the hospital, and we had 3 rigs out there. It was a mess. once again, just watch the overpass over the railroad tracks if you're using it, and when it gets below zero, because that bridge will freeze. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Move Neighborhood Watch Committee, Trustee Linda Washington House.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. First of all, I want to thank my committee for the Christmas party that we had on last night to celebrate all of the things that we did this year, which was inclusive of a play at Rickover. Also, we had a back-to-school book bag giveaway that was a great success. The work of my committee working hard from tagging to getting donations to make those programs happen. We had an awesome time with our guests that showed up, a lot of food, a lot of good live music. So we had a really good time last night to end our Neighborhood Watch Committee for the year. Our next meeting will be the second Monday in January. We meet every second Monday of the month at 7 o'clock at the fire station. Also, I wanted to make an announcement that on this coming Saturday at the community center at 10 o'clock, if there's anyone that want to be a deputy registrar, which means you will be able to register people to vote that are not registered to vote anywhere in Cook County. You can come and you can take that class at the community center at 10 o'clock. David Orr's office will be here doing that training. If you are already registered, if you are already a deputy registrar, all commissions expired after the presidential election. Therefore, you need to renew your commission. All you have to do is just come to the community center, you can sign the oath, and you can renew your commission and walk out the door up under whatever umbrella you are currently a deputy registrar for. If you know someone that's not registered to vote and they would like to be registered to vote, they can come and register to vote Saturday at 10 o'clock as well. That'll be the deputy registrars class as a community service announcement. Also, I finally wanted to reiterate and I guess piggyback off of a resident's concern, because a part of Neighborhood Watch is that we do deal with no texting while driving, and we also deal with the no bullying clause that we have. I personally was attacked on this week on social media where it was indicated that I was on my way to meet with someone in a compromising position. I don't look at the Facebook pages of many people, but I was bombarded with a picture with my name in it that I was on my way to meet with a gentleman in a very compromising position. I was very upset that someone would depict me in such a character that don't even know me, don't have conversations with me. I'm a very high profile person. I'm a minister, I'm a Christian, I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother. And when they was approached, it was said to me that they said, oh, they did it, it was a joke, which was Joe Wizawati. I don't appreciate it. I have copies of the picture. I am showing it to community leaders. I am showing it to community pastors. I want people to be aware that you can be a victim of bullying, cyberbullying on social media by someone that thinks it's funny to say you're on your way to be promiscuous with other people just for a game. I don't like it. No one should be a recipient of it, and I'm doing everything that I can legally to pursue to the fullest extent of the law my name being used in any negative continuity just because I'm an elected official and I happen to be running in a race that's not his horse that he's bidding for. So I want to say to all of you that are victims of social media, bullying is not fun. It's not a joke when you hurt other people. It's not funny when you talk about people's wives and mothers and grandmothers. A lot of us have to experience it, but when you say openly to people, I did it for a joke, I won't be the last one laughing. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee. Move to Budget Finance Committee, and Community Relations Committee. Trustee Rosie Williams-Begg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of items. The Budget and Finance Committee met today. We reviewed the accounts payable, and we also discussed a couple of other items that will be more focused in the upcoming year. Also, the chief touched on it, but Shop with a Cop will be held this Thursday. I did speak with Jeremiah Johnson at the school district. Everything is finalized. I did speak with the chief today, and I know that he already thanked the police association, but I wanted to say thank you to Trustee Burgess for reaching out to the chief to make sure that that connection happened. And we are very willing to accept that $1,000 for Shop with a Cop. And once again, that will be 10 o'clock this Thursday. Also, that night is Carol Copa and More, and I know that the village clerk did touch on that, but just as a reminder, because I know a lot of people who are in this room currently have been to Carol's Copa and More before, and the system will be different. One of the things that we had, as I stated before, we take our criticisms and take our suggestions to heart, and it was a very lengthy process for families. We did a raffle ticket when you first got in, and we pulled tickets for the toys. If you had 2 or 3 kids, your kid might have been one of the first tickets to be pulled for a toy, and then your other kid might have been one of the last kids to pull for a toy. So it was a lengthier process. We are still trying to figure out the organization of the tables, but how we've got it in our minds are, as a family, you'll get checked in. As a family, you'll come up, you'll get your toy. As a family, you'll get your cocoa and your book. And as a family, you'll get your food basket. And as a family, you may leave. We are not doing any of the festivities that we've done in the past, like a movie or carols or reading a book. Santa will be here in the hallway for any, I'm not just gonna regulate it to kids, for anybody who's a kid at heart, who hasn't given Santa their wish list yet. Santa will be here on that night as well, but we are hoping to get enough people in and everybody served, and it's supposed to be really, really cold, so we don't want anybody to be out any more than they have to be. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee.
Excuse me, can I add one thing? I just picked up my messages just before the meeting, and there was a teacher from Wagner that called to tell the parents, kids about shopping pop. I'm hoping that Jeremiah Johnson took care of that sometime today. So could you please tell him to reach out, and I'll give you the name of the
Yeah.
remind me?
Yeah. He said he did say he spoke with all the social workers at the schools, so maybe that's where the confusion is, but I'll reach out to him tomorrow.
All right, move to new business. We have a motion to approve all accounts payables and disbursements from November 9th, 2016 through December 13th, 2016, according to Sauk Village policy. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion? Got a second? Any questions or comments?
Question.
Trustee.
On page 2, at the top, I guess it's under elected officials, contractual services, vendor number 1823, miscellaneous food and cutlery. What is, can anyone explain? Because it says elected officials, so it has to be someone that was elected. I just want to know what was that, or what did that pertain to? Does anyone, Mr. Fairman, do you know, or Trustee Williams, do you know anything about it?
Is that the Veterans Day?
It could be, but they will be getting a check from the public. He told me that wasn't going to be on the account papers.
Who told?
We went through Sam's Club, and you know the village has a Sam's Club card. And so that's how that came through, and then the Public Relations Committee has to reimburse that.
Would that be noted so we can at least have the paperwork, so it could be noted on some kind of way to show that it was reimbursed?
I don't think it would be noticed or noted until there was like an accounts receivable, but I can.
We don't itemize accounts receivable.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you won't see it noticed.
That's what I'm.
I can make a copy of the check when I write it and put it in everybody's boxes so they can know it's done.
Right, that's all I'm saying, so it can show that it wasn't just taken out; it was actually reimbursed. Thank you.
No problem.
And when you get a copy of the check, you're going to get a copy of the receipt that I took something back that we did not use. And I'll make sure that that's all together.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Question?
Trustee Washington.
On page 4, under General Fund 2206, looks like, Valerie Allen, reimbursement for food, $223 and 87 cents. Do you know what that was, Mr. Fairman?
Yes, Trustee Myers, you want to tell them what that's where we hosted. That's where, as the hosted the annual.
On the bottom?
Yeah.
All right. Only reason I know what it's for is I've attended a couple of their sessions over the many years I've been in Sauk Village. It's the organization of the Emergency Services Management, and once they rotate to different towns to have their meetings, and this time Sauk Village was their time to host the training session and everything. It's an annual thing that they do. Now next month it'll go over to another town. They keep going all over around circle. I think Sauk Village gets it, I think it's twice a year that we end up hosting. I know I've been to several. It's a training session, then they have sandwiches and refreshments afterwards. That's for all the as the Homeland Security and smart people in the entire South Suburban, and they get a pretty good turnout. That's the only reason I know what it's about.
Thank you. I have some more questions, but I'll talk to Mohan.
Excuse me?
I said, thank you. I have more questions, but I will talk to Mohan.
Good. You'll be here tomorrow.
Any other questions? Trustee Jones.
On page 1, Skyline, Republic Service, garbage fees. I was wondering, for what we paid, is this what we were billed for?
I think that's a yes. As a matter of fact, we were behind on it. We had to make this just on pace. Yes. As a matter of fact, Mr. Lopez couldn't talk to me about it. I'm always behind, so we cut this check for them. And it's for exactly the amount that we actually billed for.
Any questions? All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Village Clerk, please call roll.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
States.
No.
Washington House.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Move to item number B, motion to approve special meeting minutes for November the 8th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Jones.
No.
Myers.
Yes.
States.
No.
Washington House.
Yes.
Williamsburg.
Yes.
Burgess.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Item C, motion to approve board meeting minutes for November 8th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Myers.
Yes.
States.
No.
Washington House.
Yes.
Williamsburg. Yes. Burgess.
No.
Jones. No. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Item D, motion to approve executive session meeting minutes for November the 8th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
States.
No.
Washington House.
Yes.
Williamsburg.
Yes.
Burgess.
No.
Jones.
Yes.
And Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item E, motion to approve special meeting minutes for December 6th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Washington House.
Yes.
Williamsburg.
Yes.
Burgess.
No.
Jones.
No.
Myers.
Yes.
States.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Item F, motion to approve and hold executive session meeting minutes for December 6th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Question.
Trustee?
I think this is the one that I talked to the clerk about, and I'm not going to vote until I see that it's been changed. There was something on that minutes that needs to be added to. So as it's written right now, I would not vote on it.
I informed Trustee Burgess that I would listen to the tape again, and if that's in fact what was said, I would put it in the minutes. I informed Trustee Burgess if that's exactly what was said in the minutes, I will put it, on the tape, I will put it in the minutes. Otherwise, I would add a note that he requested that that be part of the record. But I can only put in the minutes what's stated on the tape. But I will review that. Thank you very much.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll. F.
Williamsburg.
Yes.
Burgess.
No.
Jones. And Myers.
Yes.
States.
No.
Washington House.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item G, motion to approve committee meeting minutes for December 6th, 2006.
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none,
Question.
Trustee Burgess.
What I had asked for, and I think it should have been in the minutes, is item number 4 for about tax levy. And I think we can bring that up when the tax levy comes, but I did at that particular meeting ask for a breakdown as far as how did they come up, what type of formula did they use, or what was used to distribute the funds.
I believe in the minutes it does say that the finance director, I believe
I don't have them in front of me, but it says that the Finance Director, Mohan, will be asked to give you that formula. I can only put in the minutes what is stated at that time. Now, Finance Director Rao, it's his responsibility upon somebody's direction to give you that formula. But in the minutes, I believe it does say that he would be requested to give that formula to you and all trustees.
Yep. And I know JW is going to follow up on that one. All right. Now, any other questions or comments?
Comment.
Trustee
Wasn't it on the
Washington.
last page, the breakdown? Wasn't it on the last page? Because he did send it to our phones, and it was the exact same thing that was on the last page.
Trustee was asking for something else. You want to know how the formula was derived and how.
That.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones. Myers.
Yes.
Tate. Washington House.
Yes.
Williams-Bright.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item H, motion to approve ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement to establish a joint 911 authority between the Village of Calumet Park, the Village of Sauk Village, and the Village of Midlothian, and the Village of P.L.A.N. Joint 911 Authority, IGA. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Comment.
Trustee Tate.
To the board, the last time we discussed the 911, I indicated that there were some things that I think we should have done before entering this agreement. One of those is to talk to the Sauk Village 911 people to find out and get their input before entering an agreement, because they're the experts on this issue. The second was to find out any assets and and liabilities that that board had, and we collectively decided not to do either of those. I personally think that we should have done all three to find out what we're getting into before we did it. That did not happen. The second part is that we've had two presentations about this 911 board. At one of them, one of the trustees brought up the state statute, which identified things that were totally different than what we were told. And he was told it's going to be changed. I think we should be careful about entering all these agreements without knowing what we're entering into. As you heard during the presentations, nothing's in place. They don't know how many people are on the board. They don't know anything except the mayor appoints everyone to participate. But other than that, there were several questions asked at both sessions and no answers were provided to them. So I just wanted to say that this board is entering into something, and you don't really know what you're entering to because there are too many loopholes that have not been filled as of yet. So without proper and complete information, I just think it's a dangerous thing to do. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Trustee. I just want to make sure the board is well aware. Number one, we already have a intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Calumet Park and the Village of Sauk Village and Midlothian. This is adding P.L.A.N, I believe. So this agreement here is adding another community to this joint 911. And again, this is so that it can get before the state board. So this is just updating with the new community. So, all right. Any other questions or comments? There none. Village Clerk, please call roll.
Jones. No. Myers.
Yes.
Tate.
No.
Washington House.
Yes.
Williams-Bright.
Yes.
Burgess.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Item I, motion to approve an ordinance for a tax levy and assessment of taxes for the 2016-2017 fiscal year for the Village of Sauk Village, Counties Cook and Will. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Question.
Trustee Burgess.
When can we?
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
When can we expect to get a breakdown? I mean, we're gonna levy X amount of money. What I saw, I just wanted to know, how do we come to those, which I repeated before last week, how do we come to those totals and to vote on something to levy, to keep levying? I asked this before, what are we gonna do with the money other than just throw it into the pot and do as you may? I thought maybe if you levy, you'd levy for a reason. You're levying to build something, to do something other than just pay bills and give raises. So that's reason why I wanted to find out what we were doing and how each department got what they got. So on that case, that's what I asked for. I was hoping I would get an answer between last week and this week, but that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Trustee. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Myers?
Yes.
Bates?
No.
Washington House?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Mayor votes yes. Motion carries. Item J, motion to approve an ordinance authorizing the entry of an agreement with Sauk Trail LLC regarding permit fees at Weatherstone Estates. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a motion, is there a second?
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
No.
Washington House?
Yes.
Yes.
Burgess?
No.
Jones?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item K, motion to approve resolution for construction on state highways. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Bates?
No.
Washington House?
Yes.
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item L, motion to approve an ordinance adopting an expense reimbursement policy in accordance with the Local Government Travel Expense Control Act, Public Act 099-0604. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a motion? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Question.
Trustee Burgess.
Who made the maximum amount? Who is that coming from the state, or is that something that was just inserted? The maximum travel expense amount number. Who? Because I never seen that before. I'm just wondering who arrived at that? Is that the state, or is that the federal, or was it just someone inserted that? Because I've never seen as many times as we went away what a maximum amount would be for travel expense.
It was a recommendation by the village attorneys when they put this together. There was a couple spots that were opened, and that was one of the amounts that was open for a municipality to put in there. What they did is looked at other surrounding communities and other ordinances that were passed for that amount. Again, if we want to amend it at a later time, we can amend it. But again, it was something that he could get before us, so at least we could have something passed before January 1st, which is when it comes in effect.
And Mayor, when did we get this? I mean, yes, the other day? Reason why I'm asking, because we're passing something that we never got a chance to discuss. We saw it, and you gave it, you said this is what we're going to have. This is what's going to come up. But to actually sit back and discuss this, and then now we're asking to vote on it, and I just wanted to know where those, because I never saw numbers before. I always saw that, yes, you had to submit bills, yes, you had to, get reimbursed, but it was never a maximum or a minimum amount. And I was just wondering, how did that come to be? And at least we could have had a chance to discuss it, because this way we would kind of know. But to vote on this tonight and not have a chance to discuss it, I think we should, but you're stating we have to have this by January 1st, and we're not having another meeting until January. So that's why I was wondering why we couldn't have discussed this before, but.
Again, I think what we have before us is an ordinance that if it's passed, we can always come back in January, we can make amendments. However, at least we have an ordinance on the books before January 1st. Again, that's why, number one, when it came to my attention, it was too late to put it on the agenda last week. That's why I passed everything out there in the mayor's report. That's why I was giving a heads up to everyone. We forwarded our expense policy to the village attorneys. They took a look at it. They added, based off what the state is mandating. I think one thing to make sure that everyone understands too, the only ones that's affected by this travel policy is non-home rule communities. Home rule communities are not affected by it. So it came across pretty quick, and that's the reason it's before us.
Well, I would like to, that's something that we need to discuss, because right away, the way I looked at it, everybody that goes, or when we go away, would be affected by the maximum amount, as you can see.
Correct. You're correct.
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee.
Couple questions.
Yes.
If it's already been a public act voted on and everything, it's a public act, what are we doing? We're just accepting it as a ordinance, or is that what the purpose for the ordinance is?
it was passed in Springfield, it's mandated that the municipalities, especially non-home rule communities, have to have an ordinance in place. They had guidelines by the ordinance. One good thing is we had our own ordinance. There was just a few things that had to be changed. So I mean, we were a little bit proactive a few years back when we passed our own ordinance.
All right, so this will take effect immediately?
Yes, because it has to be on your books before January 1st.
And this also will grow across the village? That means trustee, department heads, and anybody that spend money and wants reimbursement has to fill this thing out?
Correct. So, and you're supposed to anyway for an expense. We use it a lot for travel expense, for going to conferences, things like that. They have to fill out, which we already have an expense policy or expense report, and turned into the finance director, along with the receipts.
I agree. Ours definitely need to be updated, but this one here covers quite a bit. It covers it pretty good.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Burgess.
No.
Myers.
Yes.
Tate.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
I should, but I'm not going to because it affects our employees. I will vote yes. It's tempting though. All right, move to item number 7, miscellaneous comments from the Mayor and Board of Trustees. Start with Trustee Burgess tonight.
Did you say? Oh, start this way. Okay, I just wanted to, I didn't get a chance to last week to thank everyone that came out to the Veterans Celebration. It was a success, even though it was interrupted. And I was asked, I'm going to set everything straight right now so we can keep this back and forth not going and all this name and everything else. I was asked right before the celebration began to ask the veterans at some time to invite them to the dinner, a dinner that was going to be held for the veterans. I told the clerk, yes, I would announce that. I didn't say when, but I said I would announce it. And the program went on. During that program, halfway through it is when the commotion started, because I guess I didn't do it quick enough. I wasn't going to stop the program. I was going to wait until the end like we do it. I just had this disruption. And I'm sorry that it happened that way, because it shouldn't have. I mean, this is, I'm grown enough to know when to insert announcements, and announcements are to be inserted at the time announcements should be inserted, which would be at the end of any program like we have at the Village Hall meeting. So I just was hoping, I'm hoping that this doesn't throw a damper. I understand that there were some things written in the paper or whatever, but I put this out for a long time. The paper didn't even put out the fact that we had a Veterans Dinner celebration for the 3rd year in a row. That was never even put in the paper, but it was reported that it wasn't announced. It was reported that the Veterans Dinner that was held later was never mentioned. That part was. It's just a shame that, we have to, as was stated before us, and is stated again by the mayor, we have to be political when it comes to informing the residents here in the village. I mean, we're here, this is Sauk Village. This is not somebody's Sauk Village. So this is Sauk Village. This is for the residents, and at this particular one was for the veterans. So I'm sorry that happened, but there shouldn't be no one standing up, walking around, doing a celebration, doing a program, trying to talk about their own program. I was asked to do it. Obviously, I didn't do it quick enough, so therefore that's what happened. But we still heard about that, and that was in November 11th. So that's a month ago, and we're still hearing about it. It's something that it happened. It's unfortunate that it happened, but to continue to keep talking about, is that going to change anything? No, not going to change anything. Also, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and I guess we won't see you guys until New Year's. Stay warm, enjoy your family, enjoy your life. You only have one. And go visit the elderly if you can. If you like to, go visit some of the senior citizens residents. See how they're doing, because it is cold out there. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee in Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to reiterate that we will be having our deputy registers class on Saturday at 10 o'clock. If you're not a deputy registered, you want to be one, or if you know someone that needs to be registered to vote, they can come. Also, I want to encourage all of the residents that are here in the rotunda, as well as those that are viewing by the videos that's going to be posted, that it is never okay for you to allow people to treat you poorly. It is never okay for you to allow people to treat you disrespectfully. I sat here in this rotunda when a gentleman was being appointed by the mayor to fulfill a vacancy. He was making an appointment, and there was information disseminated on every single row in this rotunda about an appointee that was being appointed that night. It was degrading for him, it was embarrassing for him, but they passed it out and nobody said anything about it. And it was shameful what was written and what was done right here in this village hall. They went row by row and passed out information about a person being appointed by the mayor, about his personal background or whatever, in this rotunda while a meeting was going on. So I have seen people being disruptive while meetings are going on by passing out literature, but it's just a shame that it's okay if some people do it, but if other people have programs and people pass out information during their programs, it's a big travesty. But nevertheless, I think we should all be equal and we should all treat people the way that we want to be treated. And with that, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Jones.
Happy holidays, and I'll see you next year.
Trustee Tates.
The police chief casually mentioned something earlier that I was going to bring up because I came into possession of a document from the Office of the Attorney General which talked about grants that we've received here in Sauk Village, and some dating back to 1999.
Wow.
It also mentioned that we received $18,500 in February of last year, and it was for benefit of our law enforcement personnel. And the chief and I had raised this issue once before, and the chief gave a partial answer. And it's because I think we take for granted and don't do enough to protect our law enforcement personnel. And if we receive grants in order to protect them as they do their jobs, and we did something else with the money, which it appears may have happened, then I think that's a travesty. I don't think we're doing what we are supposed to do as a community to safeguard the first responders. In this case, our law enforcement personnel. We're not doing enough to protect them as they protect us. So if we have all of these grants coming in and no one can say how the money was spent, where it was spent, why it was spent, but we know one thing for sure, that it was not spent for the intended purpose. And you can look at when our law enforcement personnel were providing protective equipment, and you will see for yourself. Now, thanks to the chief in the back, he did mention to me, or us actually, during the meeting, he mentioned the life of some of this equipment. And if you look at the roster, you see that some of this equipment is beyond the expiration date. And it should not be beyond the expiration date if we kept track of everything we're doing and that we use money. When we put in for grants, those grants are for specific purposes. If it's for lighting, that's what the grant's for. It's for lighting. It's not for carpet. So we should be using money that we say is for our law enforcement personnel. We should be using that appropriately. And thanks to the chief, I appreciate you giving me that information. Unfortunately, I came in possession of this information from the Office of the Attorney General, which asked more questions than I had asked, and still the village has not, to my knowledge, responded to how, since 1999, we have utilized the money that we received in grants for our law enforcement personnel. So I want them to be safe. Be safe on the streets, and God be with you.
Trustee Myers.
Well, this is a Christmas holiday and so forth. I want each and every one of you to keep your ears open. There's a song, and it's a holiday song. The name of it, This is a Soldier's Home. Listen to that song. Santa goes down the chimney, and the first thing he says, this is the home of a soldier. Listen to what he says after that. People, that's what it's all about. These young men, some of them gave their life up for us. Enough saying bad things about them. Each and every one. When you see a soldier out there, you know he's a veteran or a soldier, walk up to him and shake his hand. Thank you. That's what it's all about. These kids, when you first go in, you're 18 years old, and you go through a lot of training, but that's what it's all about. We should quit talking bad about them, praise them, shake their hands. And with that note, I just want to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas. And please, please have a very safe New Year's Eve. Be careful.
Please. Trustee Day.
Thank you. Over the past week, I was informed of some comments that were made by me, and I'm going to be respectful to this individual, Mr. Wisawati, unlike you are to me. So I was informed of some comments that you personally made about my physical appearance and your supposed knowledge of my religion, stating that I am, and I quote, an admitted agnostic, anti-Christian woman who couldn't give a damn about people, who is more interested in stuffing her face as if it is self-evident, who openly ridiculed kids for being stupid and could care less about Christian values of feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, or sheltering the homeless. Following down in that letter that you wrote, you called the village clerk the village jerk. You called me, her baby, the know-it-all trustee, and calling multiple times to take out the trash, referring to the village clerk and I, stating that I have no religious beliefs. I wanted to say a couple things about that. Number one, as far as for calling the kids stupid, as you put in there, I never did that. If you refer back to the tapes that you have taped, if you would like to pull the minutes or even the tapes of the village clerk, you will see that I stated that the teachers, it appeared to me that the teachers helped the kids write the essays because they were all the same. If you're looking for the trustee that talked about their intelligence level, that would be Trustee Tate's, not me. And I would ask you to refer back to that tape. As far as regarding my appearance, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I may not feel the same way about you that you feel about yourself, and that's okay. But if I'm comfortable with myself, and my husband is comfortable with myself, I will ask that you keep my appearance out of your mouth and off of your words. Secondly, regarding my anti-Christian values, last Saturday, I participated in a program that I've participated in for the last 17 years. And as I'm sure everybody in this room knows, I've only been a trustee for 11 and a half, so to think that I'm doing anything because I'm a trustee, I participated in a program for the last 17 years called the Angel Team. At that organization, we collect gifts throughout the year, gifts of warmth and gifts of fun. Whether it's books, toys, games, anything like that, for the homeless people of Chicago and the surrounding areas. Now, you may not be paying attention or you may not realize that this is true, but if you have any questions, I would refer you to Beth Zupan, who every year up until this year has donated toothbrushes and toothpaste to this organization to give out to the homeless people of Chicago and the surrounding areas. Also, regarding with the anti-Christian values and the name calling, we want to talk about anti-Christian values. However, you've called me multiple names in this post and as well as other posts, and it's just not isolated to myself and the village clerk. I know that Trustee Washington House mentioned that you commented some things on her. I know that there are some audience members that you've done that to as well. So because we're talking about Christian values, I would like to refer to you to the Bible. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verses 12 through 14. Words from the mouth of the wise are gracious, but fools are consumed by their own lips. At the beginning their words are folly. At the end they are wicked, madness, and fools multiply words. No one knows what is coming. Who can tell someone what has happened after them? Again, Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. But I say to you that anyone who is angry with a brother will be subjected to judgment. And whoever insults a brother will be brought before the council. And whoever says fool will be sent to a fiery hell. Now, you want to talk about Christian beliefs, and you're saying that I don't have any, implying that you do? Go back to your book, sir. And go back to the book that you claim to have and understand that if you're telling me that I don't have Christian views, follow your own and understand that just because you have keyboard courage does not make you a good person. Thank you very much. I would also suggest, I know that Trustee Burgess stated it again tonight, he stated it last week. I would hope that as 2007 progresses, that we are kinder and gentler with each other. The need for name calling is so childish and petty, it's ridiculous. And I know that it's an election year, and if that's how people think that they need to win an election, I would suggest that you choose a different route. Because you're not going to hear it from me. I'm not going to call you any names. I'm giving you the respect to speak to you personally and to your face. I don't need to go on the keyboard and type a bunch of stuff about you because I'm an adult. And lastly, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. And that's all I have.
Wow. Man, am I going to miss all this? You know, it's, again, we can go off at so much in your ear. There's going to be things that's going to be said. You know, I just tell everyone that you have to take the things that are said, especially on social media with a grain of salt. You just have to sometimes consider the source. You know, and the old saying, you know, you talk about the Bible says in the book of Matthew, book of Luke, not to judge not. So that you how's it say, judge not?
Yes, you not
They should not be judged. So, again, it's an election year, and as I say, we've got quite a few months left. So, all I can say is, Lord, help us, and Lord, help Sauk Village. As for, and I'd say, Mr. Wiswell, you've received a lot of press tonight. I'm surprised you're not running for office. Let's see here. The grants, was mentioned tonight. I think everyone should realize that, especially with any type of grant that you receive, there's documentation, paperwork that has to be filled out, especially if grants are made for to the village for certain things. So, you know, we'll look into it. I mean, there was an accusation tonight by one of the trustees about grants that were made. I think it's funny, go back to 1999. So we'll look into that. You know, we talked about earlier, and I think everyone's touched on politics tonight. I think just about every trustee, maybe not Trustee Myers, but you know, you look at Sauk Village, and again, I think we have some probably heated conversations. We all get passionate about what we're doing up here. There's nothing wrong with that. Trustees have a right to vote the way they vote. But I was reading an article this morning on Harvey, Illinois, and you think Sauk Village is in bad shape. Harvey, in I think it was April, if I remember right, 4 of their trustees stopped attending board meetings. Pretty much put that village to a complete halt. Now, while things are still moving here, as of right now, things are still moving. We're able to break ties. We're able to make payroll. We're able to do things like that. Can you imagine being a municipality where 4 of your trustees don't show up, you don't have a quorum, nothing's getting paid, nothing's getting done. So, yeah, I don't look bad on trustees the way they vote. Sometimes I wish they would look a little bit more into it, maybe come talk to me, but that's up to them. They don't have to talk to me. They don't have to like me. It's up to them. So the next thing is, JW, while I'm thinking of it, see if we get that clock fixed before the next meeting. So, yeah, before next year. All right. Let's see here. The fire department pancake breakfast. I tell you, if you missed it, you missed a great time. Took the family, had my daughter do a selfie of us all there eating, so I had some great food. Every year they have great food. And I have to be honest with you, I have a hard time eating pancakes. I love eating pancakes, but they make me sick. But I have to eat a pancake every time I go. The bad thing is it's on Sundays. So I'm trying to stay awake on Sunday mornings in church after eating a pancake. That really drains me. But I tell the Lord it's the fire department's fault. So Trustee Myers, you tell those guys that's their fault that I fell asleep in church on Sunday. At least for Sunday school. I was awake during Sunday service. Let's see here. The expense policy before us tonight. I'm glad it was passed. And again, I was tempted to vote no, but I have to think about our employees. Because our employees are still taking training, they're still turning in expenses. If I would have voted no, it would have been to next year before it came back to the board. There's other things that's involved in this, and there's something under state statute. If it wasn't passed before January 1st, there's like 180 days before the expense policy comes into place. After January 1st, we're looking into it. So the importance was getting it passed tonight. So. I couldn't imagine having our village employees, if we waited to January, come back waiting 6 months before they could put in an expense policy. So that's why it did take me a little bit of time. I was going to vote no, but I decided not to. The last thing is, again, it's our last meeting for the year. I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much. As for motion to adjourn. Yeah, motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.